What is going on, guys? It is WrestleGamia here, back with another video. It's a dream for many WWE superstars to get showcased in a video game. Lots of superstars are gamers themselves, with the likes of AJ Styles being an avid player, or Xavier Woods, who runs his own successful gaming channel Up Up Down Down on YouTube. Appearing in a WWE game for the first time can be a great mark of pride for these athletes, and a sign they finally made it to the big time, but there are wrestlers who have managed to branch out into other series, which in many ways could be considered an even greater accomplishment, as they don't have the WWE machine behind them. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell, because today we're looking at WWE wrestlers who have appeared in non-wrestling games. Number 1. Brock Lesnar, Madden 05, Madden 06 and multiple UFC titles. It's no secret that Brock Lesnar's initial WWE run ended on bad terms after the Beast decided he'd had enough of the brutal schedule, choosing instead to follow his dreams into a career in American football. Brock would go on to do exactly that, being picked up by his home state team, the Minnesota Vikings. Though his NFL run wasn't as successful as he may have hoped, he did manage to appear in 2 games in the hugely successful John Madden franchise from developers EA. Despite being cut from the Vikings in 2004, he still made it into the game's roster in 2005 as part of an online update of players added after release, and was also included in the 2006 edition as a free agent, despite his football career being all but over by this point after he had turned his attention to mixed martial arts. As an MMA fighter, Brock would then go on to appear in 3 separate UFC titles: UFC Undisputed 2009, UFC Undisputed 2010, and Undisputed 3. Given his box office breaking status in UFC, it's no surprise he was one of the stars of these games, but what you may not know is that there's also a sly reference to him in The Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings. During a side quest in the game, your character will meet an NPC named Corb Ransel, who does everything backwards. Clearly, someone at CD Projekt Red is a fan of Lesnar. Number 2. Ric Flair, Command & Conquer Red Alert 3. The Nature Boy didn't appear as a playable character per se in this installment of the widely popular real-time strategy series by EA in 2008. Instead, he was shown during full-motion video cutscenes as military commander Douglas Hill, barking out challenges to players. Here, he's portrayed as a crotchety old man way past his prime. Now, we won't make a joke about how this compares to modern day Flair, because quite frankly, he's still more charismatic than most of the wrestlers on the roster today. It's hard to picture someone as notoriously lavish and flamboyant as the Nature Boy as a military man, but he does a decent job. Even better than this was his promotion of the game, where he featured in a bizarre series of videos wrestling a man in a bear costume who was wearing Russian-themed trunks. Only Ric Flair could get away with this. Number 3. Hulk Hogan, Rowdy Roddy Piper and Rob Van Dam in the Saints Row series. The Saints Row series' Grand Theft Auto-esque cartoon mania seems like a perfect fit for a crossover with the world of wrestling, and surprise surprise, this exact thing has happened on no less than 3 separate occasions. Roddy Piper appeared in Saints Row 4 as himself in a dream sequence that was narrated by Keith David. His appearance never stretches out into the main game, unfortunately, but it's great to see the late Hot Rod appear nonetheless. Hulk Hogan provided the voice of lead character Angel de la Muerte in Saints Row the 3rd, doing a pretty good job if we were being honest, in spite of the fact that he's clearly supposed to be a Hispanic character. This isn't the only game series outside of the wrestling world that Hogan has appeared in, however, as he was featured in Thunder in Paradise the game, a console spin-off of his terrible 90s venture into television. The game isn't much better, sadly, as it was released for the short-lived Philips CDI in 1995, and this was basically an interactive movie with the Hulkster appearing in full-motion video cutscenes. We'd advise you to give that one a miss. But let's get back to Saints Row. The whole effing show Rob Van Dam appeared in both the 3rd and 4th games in the franchise as Bobby, one half of a commentary team for the Genki Bowl series of missions. Though this character only appears on screen once, his voice can be heard in multiple missions, and his 2-time status in the series speaks volumes about how well he was received.
The nastiest sort, Zach, and this year will be no different. Murder, mayhem, and fun are all just a big part of any Genki Bowl, and the Genius Mancat has cooked up an exciting list of never-before-seen events that promise to be even deadlier than anything we've ever seen before.
Number 4. Batista, Gears of War 5. When it was announced that Big Dave himself would feature as a playable character in the 5th installment in the Gears franchise, fans were eager to see how it would turn out. He appears as part of the game's multiplayer mode, playing himself and not only providing motion capture, but also over 700 lines of voice acting dialogue. Xbox had also partnered with WWE to create special countdown material leading up to the game's release, including behind-the-scenes videos that were featured on Xavier Woods' Up Up Down Down channel. Batista was available for the in-game download between September 15th and October 28th, 2019, and we can only hope there'll be other opportunities to do so in the near future. The game's director Rod Ferguson had this to say about the animal's inclusion. Adding Batista to Gears 5, we started with the fantasy of Batista as Marcus, putting Batista into Marcus's armor and starting up with Marcus's script. Then we added elements of the animal Batista into his voice performance and onto his look by adding his signature Hollywood shades to his character. Batista was great in the booth, and I can't wait for Gears and Batista fans alike to stomp some Swarm as the animal. With Batista making more and more waves in Hollywood with high-profile roles in the MCU and the likes of Blade Runner 2049, it's no surprise that he would follow the footsteps of another wrestler turned action hero, The Rock, by veering into the video game market. It's actually a perfect fit, as Batista is one of the few people in reality who can match the ridiculous physiques of characters in Gears of War. Number 5. The Rock, Spy Hunter Nowhere to Run, and the Scorpion King the Game. Here's another one who has featured in multiple games franchises. It should be no surprise that The Rock, arguably the most charismatic man in wrestling history, is a perfect fit to feature in video games. His film career has been a huge success, with him now being listed amongst the highest grossing actors in Hollywood history, so game companies have unsurprisingly been clamoring to make use of his services. He has notably appeared in Spy Hunter Nowhere to Run for PS2 and Xbox, as government agent Alex Decker in what was supposed to be a tie-in to a big-budget movie also starring the People's Champion. However, with this film languishing in development hell for over 15 years, it doesn't look like we'll be seeing it anytime soon. Prior to this, he also appeared in the movie tie-in to his first starring role in The Scorpion King, which was as poorly received as the film itself. It's funny to look on how far The Rock has come since those days. The Scorpion King seems so quaint now. Number 6. Roman Reigns in NCAA College Football 2005. Another wrestler who had a career in American football is the big dog himself, Roman Reigns. Reigns' football career never reached the heights that his wrestling one would, but he was successful enough to be included into the 2005 edition of the college football franchise released for PS2, Xbox and GameCube. Reigns appears as a defensive tackle for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, the team he played for in reality before venturing into wrestling. The game was well received overall, and this qualifies as a rare instance of a wrestler going by their real name in a game, as he's listed here as Joe Anawahi, this being before he was rechristened by the WWE of course. Number 7. Ronda Rousey in Mortal Kombat 11. This is one of the more recent and high-profile examples of a WWE wrestler appearing in a game for another franchise. Ronda Rousey, who had only just recently jumped from the UFC after her retirement from mixed martial arts, became an instant star in WWE and took to wrestling like a duck to water. As a lifelong fan of the Mortal Kombat series, she was reportedly thrilled to get a chance to voice one of its most iconic characters, Sonya Blade. However, interestingly, despite her extensive martial arts background, she didn't provide motion capture. Her inclusion, while well received by some, was subject to a backlash from other fans of the series that disliked Rousey's acting skills, as well as taking issue with some of her controversial political views in the past.
General Blade? Dad would be proud.
Still, it didn't stop the game selling like hotcakes. Ronda even managed to promote the game on WWE television, appearing at that year's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view dressed in full Sonya Blade cosplay. Number 8. Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, The Undertaker and Triple H in Family Guy: The Quest for Stuff. Four of the biggest superstars in WWE history and a possible argument for the Mount Rushmore of wrestling all appeared together in this update from the 2016 Family Guy game. The game itself was a mobile effort released for iOS and Android and featured many big-name stars ranging from Arnold Schwarzenegger to the cast of Star Trek. The WWE-themed update was created to help promote that year's WrestleMania and showed the four WWE legends helping Peter Griffin to train for a fight against his arch-enemy, the Giant Chicken. And number 9, Shad Gaspard in God of War. Shad Gaspard might not be a name immediately familiar, but you'll probably know him better as the former member of Crime Time that isn't JTG. Gaspard has spent his time post-WWE run working in movies, comic books, and more importantly for us, breaking into the gaming industry. Though you might not be aware of it, you actually played as him in the award-winning 2018 installment of the God of War series. Gaspard's body was digitally scanned and used as the basis for the main character Kratos, and he also provided motion capture for the in-game combat. Keep that one in mind next time you're doing a playthrough of this one. But there you have it guys, WWE wrestlers that have appeared in non-wrestling video games. Would you like to see a part 2? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling video game content.